Hey everyone, this is Demari. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be doing the June 2020 Shadow Work Tarot reading for the sign of Aquarius. Please keep in mind this is a general reading, so it's not going to apply to each and every one of you. However, you can take a look at this month's reading in regards to your Sun, Moon, Rising and Venus signs. So take a look at your natal chart placement, see the corresponding zodiac signs, and see which video's title resonates for you most. In regards to the decks I'll be using, there are quite a few because I felt like it was really necessary with all of the energies that are currently present, and especially with this recent transition of the lunar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. So very, very transformative and very, very powerful. So to begin with, I'll be using the Dark Mirror Oracle deck. Then I'll be using the Angelarium deck. And then I'll be using the Moonology deck. So those are the three oracle decks that I'll be using. And then in regards to the tarot, I'll be pulling from the Wild Unknown. And then getting further clarification using the Intuitive. So let's get into it for you, Aquarius. Just want to say a big thank you, first of all, to everyone who's been liking, commenting, and subscribing. It means a lot to me, and for sharing my videos as well. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey and for your support. I hope these messages serve you well and help you within your own inner healing, shadow work, light work, and doing the work for the collective also. So let's have a look at what's going on with you this month, Aquarius. Is this me? Interesting. So yeah, this is significant realizations. This is a new form of self-awareness coming in. Understanding that things aren't what you thought they were. You are not what you thought you were. There's going to be things coming to the surface in regards to your shadow aspect that you're going to find hard to believe because, you know, they've been suppressed for so long, possibly. And you're going to be like, I don't even recognize this. Like, why is this happening? Why is this coming to the surface? Or, you know, why am I acting this way? So you might say things and do things that you feel is very out of character, but it's actually coming up for a reason. It's things that you've been doing subconsciously for a long time, but now it's coming to the surface in order to be purged, because you are not, you know, you are not going to be in the same energy that you were previously, right? So you had a certain set of associations that you placed upon yourself. You know, you identified who you were with certain traits, but I feel like those traits are falling away. And I feel like there's certain things, like I said, that you've been suppressing in your subconscious, that your shadow has been eagerly kind of acting out in various ways, right? But you never really consciously allowed it to come to the surface, because these are things about yourself you were trying to suppress, right? But either way, they are coming to the surface and have been coming to the surface in various ways in order to be addressed and healed and released, right? So you may see a surge of that at this time because you are stepping into a completely new energy. So there's a lot of things that are going to be released for you at this time. So, interesting. Let's have a look in regards to the Angelarium deck. I will read the passage from the booklet also because it's such a new deck, so I'm not acquainted with all the cards yet. Ooh, that is way too many. Okay. So let's see what the Angelarium deck has to say. Okay. Wow, this is what I'm talking about. So you have Azrael, Angel of Death. Sounds very scary, possibly, to some of you. Maybe it sounds very destructive. And it is a destructive force, but it's a destructive force for a reason. Like I said, there is I feel like you're going to experience, or if you're not already experiencing it, you will experience some level of ego death. Because, like I said, there's certain conditionings and associations that you have, that you've associated with your identity, that needs to be purged, okay, that needs to be released, because it's not aligned to where it is that you're headed and the energy that you are calling in. You're actively manifesting this change. You don't realize it because I don't think you're doing it consciously, but you are manifesting this ego death that you're going to experience, because your higher self is very much aware that this energy that you've been in, these things that you've been suppressing, you know, the negative aspects of yourself, has been holding you back. So you're actually calling this change in. So let's have a look in regards to the booklet then, and see what insight that can provide with regards to the energy of Azrael. Here we go. The assistant to man's creation and the architect of the human body. Azrael stands alone on the shores of mortality, helping remove the souls from the bodies of dying men like precious seeds from the rotting core of an apple. The grim harvest is not to be feared, but demands respect as a few other things in time and space. From under the shroud of purpose come the hands of Azrael. O death, come to lay your hands upon me. O death, unfurl your fingers from my destiny. O death, do not search here or there. It will reveal itself in time. It will breach the surface for a moment. It will take you and pull you under. You will know, and the knowledge will fill you, even as it consumes your soul. So the signs for this are an apple, the ocean, a skull, right? So this is it. For me, that screams of ego death entirely. Okay, so something is being drawn away from your energy field, okay, and from the associations that you've placed upon yourself. So whatever you deem to be a part of your character that you see as a flaw, or that you're actively suppressing in your unconscious mind, anything that you've kind of created self-limiting beliefs around, a sense of guilt, shame, fear, things of that nature, that's all being brought to the surface, and you're going to start enacting some of those things, okay? So you might start saying the things that you remember you said once when something significant happened that had a detrimental impact on you, right? And you might find it strange that you're reenacting some of these energies, or reenacting some of the things that took place, and that's because it's being brought to the surface to be purged, right? That's the energy of Azrael here. So it's being stripped away from you, because that's no longer relevant to who you are at this current time. So I hope that makes sense. And it's like it says in the card, it's not something you have to forcefully do or act upon in any significant way. It's just a process that's happening organically, right? So the best thing you can do for yourself at this time, Aquarius, is to go with it, right? Don't actively fight against it, because that will just make the process 10 times harder. And I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, it's a walk in it's a walk in the park. It's not going to be difficult in any way. It's not going to be mentally, emotionally, or physically draining. It is going to be all of those things. Like, I'm not going to lie to you about that. It is going to be all of those things. But the benefit that will come from it will far outweigh how you felt going through that process, right? Like, it's a no-brainer, honestly. It might not seem like it when you're going through it at the time, but when you're on the other side of that, it's going to change your life. It's going to change how you feel about everything, and it's also going to change your life significantly. Okay. Here we go. So with regards to the Moonology deck, you got third quarter moon. Adjustments are required. Okay. So as I was saying, with regards to this process, it's something that you have to let it happen organically. But with regards to yourself, you're going to notice these things coming up to the surface to be purged, right? So while you're starting to go through this process, it's a good time to question these things rather than just being like, oh my gosh, why is this happening again? Why am I saying that? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I doing that? And trying to bury it again. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's not why it's being called to the surface. The reason this is happening is for you to understand where this comes from, why it occurred to begin with, what needs to take place in order for that to be healed, right? So it's reassessing these things and understanding what you can do to help yourself moving forward. So maybe there's some lifestyle changes that you'll make. Maybe you'll go and get some counseling or some therapy for some things that you've been carrying a long time and you know that has been weighing heavily on you. Maybe you'll change your diet. Maybe you'll change the circles in which you, socialize in. Maybe you'll change your environment. Change the symbols that you identify with. There's going to be so many things that can happen in regards to that. There's so many things you can do. So like I said, while this process is something that's happening organically, this ego death, and you just have to kind of write it out and understand that it's for your benefit, there are things that you can do within your reality that will help you also. Not just now, but where you're headed or where you're moving forward to. So that's something to consider. There may be some things that you thought were working in your favor, that was positive for you, that was going to help you. But you may realize that actually it's kind of limiting you further. Excuse me, that it's not actually making you happy or giving you a sense of contentment. You're understanding that maybe there is something that needs releasing as well. That's something you can actually actively do that's going to help you. Or maybe you have to, like I said, reassess, and readdress that thing, whatever it is. Okay. So let's have a look in regards to the tarot now. Okay. So, with regards to the first card, you have the Mother of Wands. So this is fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You could be dealing with any of those signs or have them in your chart. Either way, I feel like with the Mother of Wands, this is the Queen of Wands. It's expressing that whatever you feel like you're most drawn to, whatever you feel like drives you, and your shadow aspect. So it could be in regards to, for example, right? You may be used to getting your own way because you know that you're very charismatic, very charming, and very attractive. People are drawn to you. They're very, they're very attracted to you, right? You have sexual prowess, right? So you may have been using that to your advantage for a long time. I'm not saying you did anything, necessarily bad or terrible, nothing like that, but it's just, you may have been, using that to your advantage a bit too much, to get your own way, because you understand the base needs of the human being, right? You very much understand how the reptilian aspect of our brains function, right? The reptile brain, deep within sorry, let me get this, let me word this properly before I completely fluff it up. Deep within the brain, towards the stem, attached to the main brain stem is the reptilian brain, right? So it's at the very base, of our core. It's at the very base. It's our baser instincts, right? And you very much understand how that functions, right? And you may have been very much in the persuasion of feeding your shadow quite a lot, right? Feeding those baser instincts, right? Rather than looking at what your higher aspects are requiring, right? So that's something to take into account. That I feel like a lot of that energy is being purged, right? So these things are going to come to the surface. So where you may have had interactions with people that did not go very well in the end, people that felt like maybe you lied to them, cheated on them, abandoned them, used them in some way. You know, that all of that is going to come up, right, for you to address it and to heal it, because it's being purged. You know, this is being pretty much destroyed, okay, this energy. And it's not to say that you're going to be left as a, you know, uncomfortable and, you know, anxious, you know, husk with a low self-esteem. It's nothing like that, but it's just that it's going to destroy this false sense of ego, you know, where you base it on the superficial things, right, and the fleeting energies of the shadow, right, things that are just, you know, associated more with, you know, self-serving energies and lust and hedonism, you know, things that are just completely self-serving and momentary, right? That's kind of being addressed to be purged at this time, because it's not really serving you anymore. In regards to the next card, you have the Eight of Wands, so more fire energy. So yeah, this is like clarity, moment of truth coming in, understanding that this communication that's coming in, this epiphany, you know, it's divinely guided. You know, it's coming from the source itself, pretty much, to help shine a light on the things that you've been doing, the way you've been conducting yourself, how you've been carrying yourself, how you communicate with people, how you see people, how you treat your connections, things of that nature. So it's bringing all of those shadow aspects to the light, right? It's like a huge download that you're going to get, and that's what's going to trigger this ego death process, right? So you may already be going through this now, and if not, you'll be seeing that very, very soon, okay? And yeah, it's going to be eye-opening for sure, especially if you've never experienced this type of energy before. It's going to be rough, but you're going to understand its necessity at the same time, right? Because it's going to open your eyes and help you see what needs to be done, right, in order to get you into alignment. So it's actually very, very positive, very powerful. And then finally, you have the Two of Swords in reverse. So air energy, this is your energy, okay, along with Gemini and Libra. So with it being in reverse, I feel like you know that it doesn't come down to being stuck and having to make a decision. You know that this was never going to go any other way, right? Like eventually all of this shit from the past was going to catch up with you, or was going to get brought to the light, brought to the surface, the things you've been suppressing for a long time, right? Because it always does. You can never really keep anything hidden for very long. So no matter how much you try and bury certain aspects of yourself, it's always going to come back to the light in order to be healed, in order to be understood, right? In order to be transmuted in some way. So I think you're already aware of this, that there was no other way it could go, really. And the best thing you can do is be, you know, an active participant in this process, and just knowing when to let things happen in the background, knowing that certain aspects of this can't be forced. It's just a process that has to take place, and you have to just go with it, right? But if you try and actively fight against it, you're just going to cause so much more pain for yourself, pretty much. It's just not going to help you. So you're better off just going with the process and doing the things, you know, taking care of the things you can control, so that, you know, it's not just this nightmare of a situation for you. Because like I said, in the throes of it, it just feels very difficult. But the reality is, it's the best thing that can happen for you at this time, because it's allowing you to finally free yourself of these things, right? You're being released from your own chains, essentially, okay? So let's have a look and see what else we can get in regards to clarification on this. Oh, there's two cards there. All right, we'll have a look. So clarifying the Mother of Wands, you have the Emperor in reverse. So this is Aries energy. You could be dealing with an Aries, especially with that clarifying the Mother of Wands. Okay, so you could be dealing with an Aries. Either way, it's like, with it being in reverse here, I feel like you know that energy of which we were talking about, you relying on underhanded tactics where you use your charm, your charisma, your looks, your sexual prowess to get what you want, is not the energy of an emperor. Right? That's really not the energy of an emperor. And that's the thing, I feel like you want to be in the zone of the emperor. You want to feel like you have everything that you need in your life, that you are of status, but that you're respected, that you're understood, that you're a leader, that you know how to take care of an empire, right? So maybe you want to have a business, right, that grows significantly. Maybe you want to start several businesses, right? Either way, I think you know that you can't rely on your looks to get that, right? Whatever this is that you feel like would put you into the seat of the emperor, where you feel like a leader, where you feel like you have a domain. The emperor doesn't come from the Queen of Wands energy. You know, is the combination of all kings combined. So that's where you're realizing that could be where the sabotage was coming from, self-sabotage, because you didn't realize that. But now that's coming into your awareness, that if you want to be an emperor, then you have to release the negative aspects of the Queen of Wands energy, right? And that's what's helping you to be purged at this time. That's what's coming in to be, that's where that divine assistance is coming in to help you with purging that energy, okay? So clarifying the Eight of Wands here, you have the Two of Swords in reverse again. So yeah, it's like once this information comes into your awareness, once you get this download from the divine, there's no question about it. There's no way to escape that truth. It's very clear, right? So it's a case of, now that this is in your awareness, what are you going to do with that knowledge, right? Are you going to resist this change? Are you going to keep hanging on to something that's not going to serve you or anyone else moving forward? Or you're going to go with the process and do the work that you need to do from your part in order to shift and adjust with these new changes, with this new association you have with your character, with your identity, the ego, right? Because you're being freed from certain chains that you placed upon yourself, or that you feel like were placed upon you from your previous experiences, your past experiences, you know, that help to shape certain behaviors, attributes, certain traits, right, that you developed by watching and observing and seeing the responses, right? So there's a lot of introspection that's going to take place. And then finally, clarifying the Two of Swords in the end there, in reverse, you have the Eight of Wands in reverse. That's so funny. And you have the Three of Cups in reverse. So you've got two twos and you have two eights, okay? So the numbers 22 and 222 and 88 and 888 could be very significant at this time for you. So do take a look at that in regards to numerology. I feel like that's very much screaming that this shift is necessary, needed. This is taking place to bring you back into alignment and to help you see how good things can be when you align with ascendant energies rather than allowing your shadow to take hold of you, pretty much. But anyway, moving on. So with this combination, I feel like what's being communicated is that while you're aware that this process needs to take place, I feel like in order to help you integrate the new awareness and knowledge that's coming in, and to dissociate with these kinds of energies, the baser energies, you're having to detach from certain people, right? So you're not going to be going out and embarking, or you're not going to be participating in certain things that you used to do, right? So your lifestyle is going to change. Your friendship circle is probably most likely going to change. The way you communicate with your loved ones is going to change. But you may even, I feel like you're going to withdraw. There's a bit of hermit energy coming through with this. I feel like you're going to withdraw because you feel like you need some time to really get your head around what it is that's taking place, because it is a lot. And because it's going to be a difficult process. You know that there's a lot of painful things coming up to the surface. So you need some time and space to process that and heal it, right? But just don't be afraid to, you know, do reach out for help if you need it. Like I said, if you feel like you need counseling, do it, right? If you feel like you need some spiritual guidance as well, do it. If you feel like you need a very close friend or family member that you trust to speak to about what's happening with you, do it, right? Don't feel like you have to do it alone. But I feel like generally when it comes to certain circles that you operate in, you're going to be withdrawing from those, right? You're not going to be talking to these people or spending any time with these people anymore, because you have a lot of work going on, inner work that's being brought to the surface, right? And a lot of things that you're going to need time to make sense of, really, you know, in your own way. So that makes perfect sense. And like I said to you, I feel like, you know, a lot of these people you're not even going to really associate with anymore. You know, not everyone. There's a lot of people you're still going to have in your life, of course. But there's certain people for sure that I feel like you're going to distance yourself from, because they are very much aligned with this energy, right? And that's what's being purged, because you are trying to, while at the moment you may be showing as the Emperor in reverse, your goal is to become the Emperor, right? So you know that in order to do that, you have to be very mindful of your environment, the connections that you have, the things that you choose to associate with, how you choose to carry yourself and communicate, and your own thought processes, right? So you will come to understand how all of it plays a role. Okay. So yeah, Aquarius, I hope that was helpful for you. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And honestly, I can say, yes, it's going to be tough, but you have what it takes to do this, to get through this, okay? And like I said, what's happening is you're not being punished. You're not being put through it for nothing. You are being freed from your past. You're being freed from the energies that don't serve you, from the patterns that were toxic and detrimental to your happiness, right? That are just numbing you to the pain rather than releasing you from the pain. So I hope that helps. Sending you lots of love, a lot of strength, a lot of protection through this time. And yeah, just know that you are on the path to really living life in a whole new way. All right. So sending you lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon.